We're rolling. Oh, okay. Welcome to the first of my 5, 4, and 3 videos, in which I'll be giving you 5 reasons for reading a book or series, and 3 reasons why maybe it's not for you. First video today, we'll be looking at a big one. It will be a series, the Wheel of Time series, first book, The Eye of the World, by Robert Jordan. Hey Matt, how you doing? He guards my books. Many of you will now know the Wheel of Time is an Amazon TV series, and this video is for those of you who are thinking of reading the books but haven't got round to it for various reasons. I'll be giving you reasons for and against. Right, before we start, I ask that you keep any comments you might make down below spoiler free. This video is for people who are thinking about reading the series but haven't read it yet, so let's try our best not to spoil anything for them in the comments before they actually get round to reading it. Quick synopsis for the Wheel of Time. It's hard to bring 14 books and one prequel down into a quick synopsis. It's been 3,000 years since the Dark One, deity of all evil, was sealed away in a prison by the dragon. And as time's gone on, his prison has become weaker and weaker, and he is now able to touch the world once again. Saying anything more than that is approaching spoiler territory, at least in the grand scheme of the world. But it's classic fantasy, epic battle of light v darkness, and the heroes are found in the most unlikely of places. But I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. Let's just say that a mage named an Aes Sedai or mage character named Moraine has come to find who she thinks could be a prophesied hero who's capable of saving everyone. Sorry if you can hear a dog barking in the background, by the way. My neighbours downstairs are a little puppy crazy. And aren't we all at times? I'm allergic to dogs and it's... What was I talking about? Wheel of Time! First reason why you should be reading the Wheel of Time is the world building, the epic scale of it all. If you're someone who enjoys reading about an entire world that's been crafted with hundreds of different cultures and tribes and languages and traditions and religions and all of these things meshed together, then the Wheel of Time is definitely something you should be reading. Whether it's the learning about the sea folk and their traditions on the waves and their marriage customs, or the Aiel in the wastes of their concept of honor, of Ji'ito as they call it. Absolutely amazing. You see how different cultures interact. You see how 3 farm boys from a city interact with nobles and lords, and how that goes for them. You get visitors from across the waves who've never encountered these people as well. You get invaders from the north, and all the while is spun in an ancient history of the land. What happened 3,000 years ago? What happened 3,000 years before that? What's happened in the time in between? Robert Jordan must have had like incredible amount of notes, time scaling absolutely everything that happened year by year for those 3,000 years, because not a beat is missed. And by the time you finish the series, you feel like you know the history of that entire continent. The detail and thought put into the characters in the Wheel of Time is absolutely phenomenal. The arcs that they go on, we see farm boys become kings, lords become beggars, mages become slaves, and nobody quite ends up in the box made for them. Well, okay, maybe one character ends up in the box, but that's a whole nother thing. The journey that the characters take, that we are with them every single step of the way, is just breathtaking. By the time you finish each book, you feel like you know each character as a person more and more. Brandon Sanderson actually said when he took over the series that he was now telling his friends what to do. Like he grew up with these characters. and by the time he got around to actually writing them, he knew them intimately because he'd read the series, he'd studied it. And I've read the series 3 or 4 times, and I can tell you absolutely everything about Rand, Matt, Perrin, Egwene, Nynaeve, Tom, Moraine, Lan. These people are so detailed, so defined that they feel real. Every decision they make, every move they make, we'll be watching. Now, every move, every decision they make, you can tell what they're going to do beforehand because you know them so well. They've been so well built. And the arcs that they go on over the story, over the course of the years in the Wheel of Time, as I said, nobody ends up in the boxes made for them. And to say anything like that would be touching on spoilers. Suffice it to say, you are never bored. Whether it's watching a young mage in training hulk out and blast through the defenses of a 3,000-year-old supervillain, or watching a single swordsman walk out into the middle of a battlefield and change the course of a whole battle single-handedly, the Wheel of Time is plastered with epic moments that will live with you, live rent-free right here, long after the end of your read-through is done. I don't want to say too much, obviously, because we will touch on spoilers that way. And again, that is something we don't want to do because my whole goal is to get people who haven't read the books to read them. But suffice it to say, the amount of comedy where you least expect it, of characters breaking their own limitations, whether set on them by society or themselves, and just moments that give you goose pimples down the back of your neck and, I'll be honest, make you cry. The Wheel of Time has got them all. If you wanted to comment down below with your favourite satisfying moment in the series, feel free to. However, once again, we are not doing spoilers here, and we're going to keep the comments down below spoiler-free as well. So be as vague as possible, as truly vague as possible with your most satisfying moment in all 14, 15 books. The One Power. A power with a masculine side, the side that broke the world 3,000 years ago, and a feminine side, the side used by the Ice Time mages in order to currently protect it. The power is used by weaving strands of it together into different shapes and different patterns to cause different effects, whether it's as simple as summoning a ball of light or ripping holes in the fabric of reality. The magic system is well described, clear, and you are always aware of what the characters can and can't do. The Aes Sedai from the Age of Legends could do absolutely everything, it seems, but the magic has become less frequent in the lands since. Now, in other books, in your Game of Thrones and your Lord of the Rings, magic is there, but not commonly seen. You've got the magic got put into swords, or magic from, the White Walkers and that in Game of Thrones. And Gandalf occasionally does magic, and the One Ring is obviously magic, but they're peppered on as an afterthought. The Wheel of Time, magic is prevalent throughout. I don't think there's a single book where someone doesn't use magic in a grand epic scale, whether it's to, turn themselves into a giant in order to casually step over the city gates, or rip holes in the fabric of reality and casually step through into different parts of the world. Magic is there, it is prevalent, and the characters who can use it do some truly wonderful things. As a secondary magic system, though not quite a magic system, there's also a concept in the Wheel of Time called Ta'veren. Now, the Ta'veren are, in my own opinion, a genius addition to the story by Mr. Robert Jordan. A Ta'veren has the ability to warp the world around them, whether affecting people or the laws of chance or probability, or just causing things to happen in their favor. Now, that might not seem like such a big thing, but it's almost impossible to write a series of any series like these, especially one the length of the Wheel of Time, 14 books long, without touching with Deus Ex Machina, the ghost in the machine. When characters just happen to turn up in the nick of time, or just meet up with a person that they need to, or find the right thing at the right moment in order to save the day. It happens. Almost every fantasy series has it. And Mr. Jordan knew there would be absolutely no way to avoid that in his books. So he made it a magic system. We just found what we needed to do to save the day. Taviran. I got locked out of my house, and now then my house burned down and I got saved. Taviran's in the city. Didn't you know that? Yeah. It's clever. It's well thought out. And because it's explained so well, it doesn't feel like Deus Ex Machina at all. If you found this video without knowing that The Wheel of Time just dropped as a series on Amazon Prime, then I got to admit, I'm a little impressed. But yes, the series is now available to watch and view on Amazon Prime, and it is good. Yeah, it's good. But as we all know, the books are always better. And with that in mind, right now there is no better time to start reading it. Absolutely none. You can finish the whole series long before season 2 drops. While they are long, they are good. And while it might be tempting just to watch the TV show, they will always leave stuff out. It will always be different. And in honesty, don't you want to be one of those people who knows what's going to happen, who can lord it over their friends? I do. I am. I know I'm a monster. But you will not regret reading it, even if that's not your motivation. I just realised we have 2 sets of Harry Potter books on the same row. She was saying these are my girlfriend's shelves and these are my shelves. And we didn't really notice that when we were moving in. Mine are better, right? With 14 books, the shortest of them still being over 600 pages long and a prequel, there's no doubt that this is one of the longest book series in epic fantasy. Is it worth it? Yes, but it requires commitment to get to the payoff, and the payoff doesn't really happen until book 14. You got a few epic moments, some character arcs, some fantastic storylines, and before then, but the main payoff won't be until the 14th book. Is it worth it? Yes, but that's my point of view. Yours might be different. You might not have time to sit down and read 15 books. You might only have time for a trilogy or a couple of books or some standalones. Whereas this one is for someone looking for a long series that will take them a couple of months to get through. Now, I personally don't view that as an issue, but some people do. And not to mention that around the middle of the series, it starts to slow down. After book 6 and book 7, the next few are stretched, with one book in particular not contributing anything to the advancement of the plot until the epilogue of all things. Now, that is unfortunate, but it picks right back up again shortly before Mr. Sanderson takes over the writing process. I'll start off by saying that I think Mr. Sanderson did a truly fantastic job coming in to finish the series after the passing of Robert Jordan. But there is no doubt that the energy of the last 3 books has a different feel to it than the books beforehand. Sanderson took on an absolutely monumental task. Of course, he had Harriet McDougal, Robert Jordan's editor and widow, and his writing assistants in order to help. But the death of such an incredibly skilled author as Robert Jordan is felt in the last few books of the series. It has a different energy, a different feel to them, things that you can tell would have been written differently or done differently under Robert Jordan. And a few people are put off by that. I know of a few handful of people who stopped reading after book 11 because they tried the first part of book 12 and it didn't feel right to them. And I know of a handful more who just decided after after reading it for the first time that they were only going to read through till book 11 after that. Personally, I disagree. I think he did a fantastic job, and I like to look at it as Robert Jordan being a juggler, keeping 200 balls in the air. And Sanderson came in at the moment of Robert Jordan's passing. He had time to study the trajectory of the balls, look at the arcs, look at where they were going to fall, where they're going to come down, and know where to place his hands in order to catch them. But there was obviously going to be a few balls dropped, but in my opinion, he kept 195 of them up in the air. That's the analogy I choose to look at it as. A few people disagree with me. A few people say that Sanderson didn't do a good job. Probably his harshest critic would be himself, because he has now said that with a few more years of writing under his belt that he would do a few things differently. But the ending is still satisfying. The ending is whole. The ending is complete. And the ending is what Robert Jordan wanted it to be. Mr. Sanderson followed his wishes almost precisely to the letter. The only major one is that Robert Jordan wanted to end after 12 books and not do any more than that. But Mr. Sanderson had difficulty fitting everything into that 12th book and spread it out over 3 because, as he put it, people would have needed a wheelbarrow to take it out of the bookshop. There are around 150 different point of view characters within the Wheel of Time. Now, by anyone's measure, that's a lot to keep track of. But when you factor in that in some books they will jump between those point of view characters chapter to chapter, like 12, 13 different characters within the same chapter, that's a lot for anyone to keep track of. And it will just keep progressing more and more and more as the series goes on. This is especially difficult for audiobook readers, who if they phase out for even just a second, will come back to the story halfway around the world of a different character doing something else, and it's not always immediately apparent. Now, to the book readers, it's a little bit easier because you've got the chapter breaks. But again, it's a lot for anyone to keep track of, and that's why some people are put off reading them, because of the complexity. You always have to be paying attention. You've got to know who these characters are, where they are, what their motivations are, and while that does give some fantastic in-depth sight to what's going on in the world from different people's point of view, it can get complicated. Now, Mr. Jordan was quite clever with this. He introduced us to it slowly over the course of the series. In the Eye of the World, of about, I think it's 50 chapters, 44 of them are from one character's point of view. And then 5, I think, from someone else, and then 1 from another person. That expands a little bit more in the next book, with about 2/3 of it being for one character, and then the rest of the third is divvied up among the others. And then after that, it becomes more and more with no chapters. Well, maybe with one interlude being given to the primary character from the first book, and the rest of it is dotted all around the world. We're eased into it. We get to know the characters a little bit before we're given their point of view. But from about book 10 onwards, so many point of view characters, you have to pay attention. You have to know what's going on. And if you miss a little bit, you could miss a major story point. In conclusion, read The Wheel of Time. It's long, but worth it. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more 5, 4 and free fantasy videos. You can also find me on Twitch TV as the Connah Penguin. Thank you very much for watching, and have a lovely rest of your day.